Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut Reflections. I'm Danny Flexen. We're here every Monday, 4:30 p.m, usually with a look back at the boxing action that's just taken place. Unfortunately, Martin Bakoli's big win over Mariusz Vac out in Poland aside, there wasn't a lot of action this past weekend. I did consider giving you a match-by-match breakdown, in-depth analysis on WrestleMania, which took place last night. Wasn't quite sure you were the right audience and that you'd appreciate it, so you'll be glad to know I've decided against that one. What I'm going to do is reflect on a bit of a wider topic, and that's on a couple of interesting purse bid situations we've had recently. One is the one that sees mandatory WBO light heavyweight title challenger Anthony Yarde potentially going up against the champion Sergey Kovalev. This has garnered loads of attention because Yarde hasn't fought anyone anywhere near that level yet. He's been subject to a lot of criticism for a long time now over not stepping up in class, although he had a very limited amateur career, so you can understand why they've moved him slowly. But now, even though Kovalev, a couple of fights ago, lost to Alvarez and then came back and looked really good in the rematch, some people think the time's now to get him, and Frank Warren, Yarde's promoter, certainly does. There's been some issues around where the fight could take place. It was set to go to purse bids, and in Main Events, Kovalev's promoter has recently asked for a 1-week extension. So purse bids were originally due today, but now it will be next Monday if indeed they take place. Now, usually with purse bid situations, when one or both parties request an extension, it means that a deal outside of bids is actually quite close. And Warren has worked with Main Events before, so it's not unheard of that they would come to an agreement. It's hard to see Kovalev coming over here, although obviously Warren brought Kovalev over here before he was a champion when he fought for the belt for the first time against Nathan Cleverly. So there is history there is a precedent. Tunde Ajayi, Yarde's manager and trainer, has been quite vocal about saying he feels his man's the A side of the promotion, eminently debatable, but also that he doesn't want him to go over to the US. He wants the fight to take place over here. Now, unless Warren's willing to put his hand in his pocket and really dig deep, because bear in mind, as the champion, Kovalev gets the vast majority of the purse if it goes to bids or not. He's going to get a large chunk of money, especially if he has to travel when they work out a deal outside of purse bids. But yeah, so he'll have to dig deep in his pocket, or he'll have to do, and this is something Warren always likes to get home advantage for his fights, so it'll be slightly out of character, but he could send Yarde over to the US. I don't think Yarde's going to go to Russia, but they could end up on a US card, Main Events, maybe big US TV interest over there in Kovalev as well. Certainly think Kovalev is the A side. Whether he's there for the taking or not is open to debate. But Yarde, I'm kind of a defender of Yarde. Yeah, he hasn't stepped up in opposition. I know a lot of people would have liked him to. But he's fought kind of European level opposition. He's looked really good in doing so. He's got a lot of skills that could cause Kovalev trouble. He's patient, he's powerful, he's explosive, and he's got a decent defence as well. I could see him frustrating Kovalev at the very least. I'm not about to make a prediction yet. We don't even know for sure the fight's definitely going to happen next. But if it does, the purse bids will take place next Monday, or a deal will come to fruition and be announced before then. So we look forward to that. The other big purse bid situation, and this is one that this Wednesday we should have an answer, whatever's going on with it, because it was last month's British Boxing Board of Control meeting for the vacant British heavyweight title, vacated of course by Hughie Fury, who was last seen losing an IBF final eliminator to Kubrat Pulev. They pitted, or mandated they should fight Daniel Dubois, unbeaten Londoner, against Joyce, unbeaten Londoner. Joyce, obviously Olympic silver medalist. He's been fighting kind of fringe world contenders, fighting a lot in America as well as over here. Last destroyed Bermain Stiverne on the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr., beating James DeGale. So really streaking ahead. He's got the WBA gold belt for what it's worth. In my opinion, not very much, but in terms of challenging for the major versions or the more senior versions, if you like, of the WBA belt, probably does mean something. So Joyce does seem a lot further in his career than Dubois at this stage. He's a lot older as well, a lot more experienced. So you can understand why he might not be keen on it, although his manager says, they'll do it, they're up for it. Dubois, for his part, says he's ready. He's got a fight lined up in a couple of weeks against Richard Lartey. But after that, he's ready to take on Joyce for the British title. He's obviously, I think he's 21 or 22 now, Dubois. It was only when he turned 21 he was eligible to fight for the British title. So he was nominated quite early in his period of eligibility, which says a lot about how far he's moved and what the respect people have for his talent. It just seems too good to be true that two of these kind of really well-documented, exciting, talented British contenders could come together so early on, and especially with Joyce's position with governing bodies and so on. It's very hard to see Joyce giving up what could be in 2 or 3 fights' time a world title shot to fight Daniel Dubois, who's got every chance of scoring an upset. You know, it's you know, on paper, it's a relatively well-matched fight. It might have come too soon for Dubois, but it's not, you know, beyond the realms of possibility that he wins that one. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Will Frank Warren try to come to an arrangement with Sam Jones, Joyce's manager, beforehand, work something out, or will they let it go to purse bids and see what happens? It's going to be interesting, because if someone pulls out of purse bids, I think they can't get another nomination or shot at the British title for a year at least. That'll obviously mean more to Dubois than it will to Joyce, who's got kind of bigger prizes to target at the moment. So if anyone's going to pull out, I would imagine it would be Joyce. But then 2 days before, surely we would have heard about it by now if that was the case. I'd like to see it to go to purse bids just to see who wins them or who blinks first. But it's a mouth-watering contest between two, as I say, very talented British heavyweights. So I'd really like to see that go down this summer. Now, before I let you go, I really want you to engage with us on these videos. So let us know in your comments below which fight out of the two you'd most like to happen, Yarde Kovalev, Dubois Joyce, who you think would win both of those fights, where you think those fights will take place, and which one, if either, do you think won't happen? Do you think someone's going to back down? Do you think someone's going to decide, you know, discretion is the better part of valour, live to fight another day, and all the other cliches that excuse someone pulling out of purse bids? Let me know what you think, ideally before Wednesday, because we're going to have an answer to at least one part of this double-headed conundrum by then. And yeah, it'd be great to hear from you, and we'll see you next week for ReFLEXions, when we'll have some real action to reflect on. 4:30 PM next Monday, and we're here with FLEXpectations, which is our preview show, 4:30 PM on Thursday. Thanks very much.